Good evening, everyone, and welcome to House of Trust. Tonight, we are discussing a topic that affects every one of us, regardless of politics, profession, or background. It's family. For thousands of years, family has been the primary institution, though which values, culture, responsibility, and identity have been passed from one generation to the next. But today, many people feel something is changing. Marriage rates are declining. Birth rates are falling across much of Western world. Parents face increasing pressure, and many are asking whether society is becoming stronger or more fragmented as a result. To help us to explore these questions, we are joined by Gianfranco Amato. Welcome, dear Gianfranco.
Hello, Steve, and good evening to everybody.
Such a pleasure to have you here. And it's a beautiful story how we get to know each other. My dear aunt Catherine in Ticino told me 2.5, 3 years ago about you. And it resonated deeply, the work that you're doing. And then we had the honor and the pleasure to have you involved at our House of Trust event physically in Locarno, I think 2 years ago. And you deeply inspired me and many others at the event. um, in the last 2 years, I have mentioned you more than any other person with this one quote that I'm going to highlight later on. And it became a part of the mission of Yes We Trust, that we are building not just a digital global community, but also regional collaborative communities based out of family around an experience of faith. So I'm grateful for that. And for the ones who don't know Gianfranco, with more than 25 years of experience working at the intersection of law, bioethics, public policy, and cultural issues, Gianfranco Amato is one of Europe's leading voices on family and civil society. Gianfranco Amato is a lawyer. He has been actively involved in bioethics for approximately 25 years. He is an international speaker on bioethical issues, particularly regarding the family, education, youth addictions, gender ideology, and natural law. He was appointed as an expert, director of scientific technical committee of the Permanent Observatory on Families of the Sicilian region. He has been heard several times, always as an expert by the Italian Parliament, both in the Senate and in the Chamber of Deputies, on legislative proposals pertaining to the issues he deals with, particularly regarding freedom of opinion, family, and gender identity. He is an international president of the organization Juristi per la Vita, a group of lawyers, magistrates, and university professors who fight legally in defense of the right to life, family, and justice and freedom of education. He is the founder and president of the Nova Civilitas movement for the recovery and the defense of the Christian roots of Western society through a presence in the fields of culture, work, and politics. He's also known in Latin America, especially in Mexico, El Salvador, and Guatemala, Costa Rica, and Chile, where he is often invited as an international expert by public institutions at the parliament level, by episcopal conferences, by professional orders, and by various universities in which he collaborates at an academic level, and has published 17 books and written a lot of articles for national and international magazines and newspapers. I could go on and on, Gianfranco, but now I want to say welcome to the House of Trust live stream. So nice to have you here with us.
See, it's a pleasure also for me. And we can start with this question. I'm very interested in this interview.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Now, my first question that I would like to ask you, Gianfranco, is how did you ended up doing what you're doing today?
That's a good question because it's something depending on my faith. I believe in principle, values, and ideals, especially in the Christian faith. I am a Christian fighter for the truth.
And when it comes about the challenges that you are tackling, when you say that the family is the foundation of society. What do you mean by that?
Saying the family is the foundation of society means it is the fundamental building block from which all social structures grow. The great Greek philosopher Aristotle, a genius of human thought, wrote in his work entitled Politics this very important sentence: Polis synketai ex oikon. In Greek, it means the society is made up of families. It is an association of families, not of individuals. And that's very important.
Thank you so much. You often argue that the family is under pressure. What are the biggest changes you have observed over the last 25 years, dear Gianfranco?
Or the biggest risk is to think that family is a human creation and not a natural element. Actually, the family is not the fruit of a political system, of a specific historic period, of a philosophical conception, not even of a religion. No religion invented and created the family.
Hmm.
The family is an element of nature that precedes any human institution. This is the reason why, dear Steve, no parliament, no law, no state can modify and change the family as the natural society founded on marriage between a man and a woman.
Mhm. So it seems like family is the last bastion where governments and politics try to have influence on.
Exactly.
Mhm. And one of the sentence that stuck for me and that shocked me was that you showed us at the physical event that European politicians speak out and quote that children doesn't belong to their parents, but they belong to the state.
Okay. See, this is an attempt to manipulate the family, and it stems from something much deeper than culture, political, economics. More likely, it's in the realm of preternatural. It stems from a deep hatred against human beings. I think so.
Mm.
It's a satanic hatred.
What happens to a society when family structures weaken, dear Gianfranco?
Oh, in biology and medicine, there is a process known as necrosis, whereby when a single cell of a living organism dies, sooner or later, the entire organism is inevitably destined to perish. The family is the vital cell of the living tissue called society. If it becomes altered, turning into a cancerous cell, or is destroyed, the society is destined to die, to perish.
Mhm. Dear Gianfranco, what do you believe society is misunderstanding about the importance of strong families?
Hmm. Postmodern society has lost the use of reason, as I say, repudiating the Western tradition that runs from the Greek thought of Aristotle to St. Thomas Aquinas. It makes feeling prevail over reality, and this prevents people from recognizing the actual importance of the family as the fundamental cell of society.
Mhm. I mean, there is this beautiful saying, it needs a village to raise a children, right? And when I
Exactly.
when I, when I think back about my grandparents and grand-grandparents, it was a family structure that was supporting and raising the children. But this is gone today. That doesn't exist anymore. We live in an individualistic society now. How have we become what we are today?
It's a very, very long story. It, it started in the Renaissance when men pretend to be God
Mm.
in a anthropocentrical perspective.
So that's a short answer.
Mm,
Okay. Um, what would you say? I mean, let's take my wife and myself as an example.
mm,
We see certain challenges in the world. We see that 80% of the jobs by 2030 doesn't exist yet. We see that 45% of the millennials are willingly to earn less money and to do something more social instead. We have a growing generation seeking more purpose, more impact, more freedom. And the current education system is still the same. Everything has evolved, but the education system is still the same. So we asked ourselves, how much sense does it make to send our kids to the current education system? And the answer was not really much. So we took an active decision and said, we're going to not put our kids to an outdated education system that is teaching them to become humans and prepare them for jobs that will not exist in future. Now, how would you propose a young generation that are growing up in the world and the system that we live in to navigate to the time that we live in?
A good question would be, what practical steps can parents take today to strengthen family life? Because it
Mm-hmm,
depends on life, always depends on
mm-hmm,
life. And first, I think they need to be aware of what it means to form a family.
mm-hmm,
And this means sharing your lives, spending a lot of time together, looking at each other face to face,
mm-hmm,
talking, respecting one another, and sharing principles, values, and ideals. Don't forget that the family is the first educational agency. This is, this is a very, very important thing
mm-hmm.
to point out.
Now, a reality check is that depending on where you live, in Switzerland, as an example, depending on the canton you live in, you are obligated to send your kids to school. And I think in most of the countries in the world, right? So, how can a normal human being uh, step out of this path and say, what for options, what for alternatives does they, you as a lawyer from the legal side, what for possibilities does exist to step out and choose an alternative?
It depends on the countries and the legal system of each country. For example, in Italy, we have the possibility of homeschooling.
Mhm,
Homeschooling is an alternative, or Christian schools that can teach according to the Christian doctrine, for example.
mhm,
This is
mhm,
possible. Where it's not possible, as Switzerland, it's more difficult, and we must understand that we are living under a dictatorship,
mhm,
a totalitarianism, and act as the people acted during the dictatorship of the last century, for example, the Nazi system.
mhm,
You must teach to your children,
mhm,
look, this is the truth.
mhm,
You'll go to school and they learn you other things, but
mhm,
it's false. This is the truth.
mhm,
And prevent. If you don't prevent, children can do the mistake to believe more to the school than the
mhm,
family.
mhm.
The
But
most
does it
important
make sense?
is to
But does it
prevent.
make sense? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Gianfranco.
No, no, no. This is
Does it make any sense to send the kids to a system where we see they are educated in the wrong direction? It doesn't make sense in my mind,
yeah.
right?
It doesn't make any sense, of course.
Mhm,
If you the problem is if you have the possibility to avoid this,
mhm.
change countries. If you live under a dictatorship, it's not easy.
talking about, I mean, you say living under a dictatorship. I mean, Switzerland, Europe, they call it democracy. Does democracy exist?
No, democracy is simply a system where the majority of people decide what is good, truth, what is false, what is good, what is evil, and that's not a good system, a Christian system.
Mhm.
It's not the majority of people that can decide what is good and evil.
Mhm. What does a healthy family leadership look like in your eyes?
An healthy family leadership.
Yes.
I think that parents must be authoritative, but not authoritarian.
Mhm.
And they must educate by witnessing through their lives more than words and speech.
Mhm.
Because don't forget that children are like sponges.
Yes.
They learn by osmosis and
Mhm.
they grew up observing how we adults live. This
Mhm.
is important.
Mhm. There is this beautiful quote in the Bible about, and that we had this confrontation with my wife Laura and myself. We have she's Swiss, I'm Aramaic. We have different cultures, but still a relationship and marriage or raising children is always a compromise and finding each other. And when it comes to being to have authority and setting children healthy boundaries, we had different views. And then I was asking for guidance, and I stumbled across this quote in the Bible where it says, "In the moment where you correct your child, it might be not pleasant, but the fruits are righteousness." Right. So in the moment of being authoritarian and setting boundaries, it might not be pleasant as a father or as a mother, but the fruits out of it are righteousness. So that was a beautiful thing that I took from. Now,
Because
what are the biggest threats? Yeah, sorry.
authority is not authoritarianism.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
difference.
True. Now, what are the biggest threats facing marriages today, Gianfranco?
That's a good question. I think that in today's postmodern society, one of the greatest risks a marrying couple faces is viewing their partner through the logic of consumerism. The
Hmm.
husband or wife chooses their partner like a product. And when this product expires or no longer satisfies, the consumer feels entitled to replace it with a newer one or one that functions better. This is a very dangerous risk.
Hmm. Gianfranco, how many years are you married today?
40.
Wow, congrats. Now, what I mean, realizing from being a single founder entrepreneur, going to the journey, being fully dedicated to build yes trust, meet my beautiful wife, have our children, get married. It was always a process of learning by doing. We never, no one of us comes as parents to earth, right? We all grow through this transformation and this journey. What advice would you give young people preparing for marriage and parenthood?
First of all, I would remind them that the step they are about to make is irreversible. Marriage is indissoluble. Uh, just like I like this example. Just like the
Mhm.
conqueror, who by burning his ship before battle cuts off any possibility of retreat. Engage couples who agree to bind themselves to one another until death have a prior guarantee against all future twists of fate and that will threaten their love. And I would suggest them reading a book written by Fulton
Mm.
Sheen. entitled Three to Get Married.
Interesting. Let's talk about the future of education. If we could create a world school that goes beyond the restriction of the obligation of the current education system, how would such a world school look like? Do you have an idea?
But school should be the place where new generations can learn, first of all, to seek and love the truth, reflect on the meaning of life, and to recognize the dignity of every person. This is should be the goal, the main goal of a school.
So it's about identity.
About identity, about truth, and about the meaning of life. Don't forget that nowadays young people live in a society of total nihilism, in a perspective of materialistic atheism.
Yeah, I mean, when I speak with people and they talk about the generation that is to come and that is growing up, I often hear, yeah, it's an unmotivated generation, and they are not as hard as the past generation, the weakened generation. I would not agree. I would say it's a confused generation with all the noise, all the things that are happening in the world. And if we would give this generation a step-by-step plan, how they can find meaning and purpose in life, feel more alive, and venture building to become entrepreneurs and find solutions for challenges we see in the world, I believe that this generation will be everything but not demotivated. So why have you decided to mentor and coach the next generation and share your knowledge and experience with others?
How can you?
Why have you decided,
Why
Gianfranco,
have
to do what you're
to
doing?
share? Because I think that we are living in this postmodern society where death, spiritual death, is growing, and I think we must put the light of truth. We must oppose truth to the lie. This is something that not only a Christian could do, but everybody, everyone, because there is really a satanic hatred against the human being. I think this, and we have the duty, we have the responsibility to oppose truth to lie.
Now, there is this beautiful saying from a smart man who once said, the happiest people are the ones who can differentiate between what they can change and what they can't change. And they focus on the thing that they can change, right? It doesn't serve me to focus on the things that I cannot change and worry all day, right? Now, looking outside into the world, I see there is a war going on our attention every day. From the moment we wake up, from the moment we take this phone in our hands, with all the information that we consume on a daily basis, how can one protect itself from the noise and the world and all the happenings that are happening?
Silence is the solution. Silence, something that the postmodern society doesn't know. The society. Silence is very important, and we learn the importance of silence by the Benedictines, the monks. Okay, in silence, the human being can find the mystery, can find the absolute, can find even good. The noise is something that the power uses to get people distracted, isolated, alone, without a place to belong, the family, without identity. They don't know if they are male, female, man, woman, fragile, and perfectly manipulated. This is a power operation, of course. I think so.
Now, having this in mind, that the happiest people are the ones who focus on the things they can change and they don't focus on the things they can't change. How important is to realize that I have responsibility, I have power, and what is in my power is the sentence that you said that sticks so much to me, that what we are capable to do is not to go to the streets and demonstrate for climate change and system change or be worried all day about the things that are happening, but to focus on building regional collaborative communities based out of family around an experience of faith. Now, putting this into practice, how would this look like? I mean, when I think about it,
Mm.
Gianfranco, and since we met, I had many conversations about, okay, we have created such a complex and complicated world. What does we human really need to survive or to live or to thrive? And we need food, water, shelter, and most of all, community, right? Agenda 2030 can be best overcome with community. And what would you say? How can we take this input practically and put it into action? That we not just talk, but that we act.
Uh, how to rebuild a culture that values commitment and responsibility? I think starting from Christian faith. An
Mhm,
interesting proposal can be found, for example, in Rod Dreher's book, The Benedict Option, which has this subtitle, interesting, A Strategy for Christians in a Post-Christian Nation. The
mhm,
proposed solution is to build small communities of families around a shared experience of faith. Um,
mhm,
are there reasons for optimism? Yes, I think there are. Hmm? As I travel the world, I very often encounter communities of young families that more or less follow the perspective outlined by Dreher. It is an experience that is working. It works. And I believe that the future will belong to these communities, just like the Benedictine communities at the end of the Roman empires. Really, I see young couples experiencing a profound faith, gravitating primarily towards traditional Catholicism, for example, having many children, living in a strong community dimension, and looking to the future with incredible optimism. The question is, will they be the new Benedictines of the 21st century who rebuilt the Western civilization after the collapse of the postmodern society? I think, see, yes, they are.
mhm, mhm. So, Gianfranco, with the way you see the world, you see that it's inevitable that there is a collapse ahead of us.
See, yes, of course. A
Mhm,
society founded on nihilism is destined to collapse, to perish, because
mhm,
nihilism is nothing more than death, out extraction. Uh, you cannot build nothing on the void, on the nihil
mhm,
in Latin. Nothing.
mhm. Can you explain the word or term nihilism?
Active nihilism.
Yes.
Active. Uh, the nihilism has two forms: the passive nihilism, the nihilism of the past, where people say that we are nothing, we comes from
Mhm.
nothing and do and go to nothing, is simply to observe, and it is a desperation to observe. The active nihilism instead not only perspect this vision of nothing, but pretend to destroy the values of the past.
Mhm.
And we are living this phase of nihilism, active nihilism. And they are trying to destroy the family, the human identity, the tradition, and so the past, the history. Think about the wokeism, for example, the woke ideology, no? Um, and it's very dangerous.
Mhm. Mm. How can the listener today,
Mm.
I mean, what I also observed, Gianfranco, is the following. Once you go down the rabbit hole and once you start to ask questions, you could get overwhelmed and you could fall into a hole of darkness, because darkness is real, the devil is real, same as God is real.
Surely.
um, and I mean, once you gain truth, you know that we already won. There is nothing more to gain, right? We have already won through what Jesus did on Golgotha, right? So um, on one side, I see this dance between being fully present in the now and enjoy life, and at the same time be conscious enough about the things that are happening in the world, and be aware and build, right? Build the new. It's not fighting the old, but building the new. Now, with knowing what is ahead of us, what should the human being that is listening today, that is working 9 to 5, who sees the challenges ahead, what can they do?
Simply oppose the truth to the lie,
Mhm.
and to cry, the king is naked,
Mhm.
as the child of the tale of Andersen. To
Mhm.
keep crying, the king is naked, the king is naked, the king is naked. Sooner or later, the people will realize that the king is naked. We have
Mhm.
to cry. Simply this.
Mhm. Mm. All the things that I'm seeing with the European nation, the United Nation, and I mean Bishop Marmari, a close mentor in my life. He always quotes that the United Nation is the last place where the nations are united. But but anyway, what I want to point to is, um, knowing what is ahead of us, knowing that we are going into a direction where we're going to have digital ID, CBDCs, scoring system, restrictions, like we have experienced it through COVID, but much harsher. How can we overcome such situations of pressure on a human being? Now, speaking also from a legal side, right? Because at the end, law is used to make us follow, right? And if you're against the law, you will get punished. You will maybe be excluded from the financial system. You will not have access to your bank account, or you will not be able to operate, right?
We
So,
must be aware that we are living in a dictatorship, in a
mhm,
totalitarian system. If you
mhm,
don't do this, we are naive.
mhm, mhm,
And is happening something very dangerous, because the power, the states, Union Europe, um, uh, is using the law not for its purpose, but to introduce ideologies and change the identity of the people. This is very dangerous because it's typical of the totalitarian systems, a
mhm,
dictatorship, to use the law and the strength of the law to this, to introduce ideologies or to change the identity of people. I repeat, this is dangerous because it's typical of any dictatorship.
Okay, but again, let's put ourselves into this situation. Might be COVID or the things that are ahead of us. How can somebody still thrive and survive and live a comfortable life if he does not follow and comply? Is there, from a legal standpoint on, is there a loophole? Is it depending on the
Depending on
country?
the
Is
country,
it?
but you must be aware that the possibility is to be martyrs. If-
And to spread some hope, Gianfranco,
yeah,
and to be positive.
no, no,
Are there?
but you must be realistic. If you lived in Nazi's system during the Third Reich, it's what how can be. You must be realistic. So we can fight, we can give battle, but with a realistic perspective. If it's necessary to change country, is an option. This is an option to
With the work,
to survive and your family.
with the work that you're doing since decades, dear Gianfranco, have you ever experienced spiritual or physical attacks against yourself?
Whew. Of course, and very very often, and because the enemy doesn't like what I'm doing. That's for sure.
How do you strengthen yourself?
How? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Where does your strength come
From
from?
my faith. The Christian faith is really, really important, and I always say to the young families that faith is everything. We a family without faith is a family destined to dissolve. Because you see, I think so. Especially
Can,
nowadays in this society of materialism, of atheism, of nihilism. huh? No marriage, no family can live without a faith perspective.
the beauty that I see, Gianfranco, is I feel there is a revival. I
Yeah.
see that many, many, many young people are finding back to the truth, and that's beautiful to observe. And so, one question that I would like to ask you is, I mean, can governments strengthen families, or is it primarily the responsibility of individuals and communities? Or can government also be part of the solution? Let's say somebody tells me, hey, Steph, I will go into politics. I have a good heart. I want to do good. Can they go into the system and change something out of it? And can government strengthen also families, or do you see it as the opposite?
No, I think it is everyone's responsibility. Governments, families, communities, each in their own field and according to their own skills. Governments, for example, can implement family friendly policies, just as individual citizen or communities can. And I say investing in the family means investing in the future. Yes, I think we have to do something also in politics.
Gianfranco, are there reasons for optimism?
Yes, I told you, there are.
Mhm.
I very often encounter these communities of young families with faith, with children, with that see the future with incredible optimism. Mm, I believe that the future belongs to these communities.
Mhm.
As I
Mhm.
said, just like the Benedictine communities at the hand of the Roman Empire.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, some rapid fire questions, Gianfranco. Most important qualities of a father.
Oh, the father helps the child, first of all, separate from the initial symbiotic bond with their mother, and helps
Hmm.
the child to create the autonomous identity. The father, symbolically, represents the law and social reality. He helps the child confront limits, risks, rules, frustrations, and prepares him for life in society. Furthermore, I think that the father figure helps the child manage intense emotions and develops the child's self-control. It's a very important role.
The most important qualities of a mother.
While the fact we can say uh, while the father represents the court of love, law, the
Mhm.
tribunal of law, the
Mhm.
mother represents the court, the tribunal of equity in the home. The mother embodies another attribute that is typical of God, namely mercy, love,
Hmm.
understanding, forgiveness, and gentleness.
I love it. The biggest challenge facing families today.
Ha! To be a true family and resist the compelling attacks from the power.
Hmm. Most overlooked situation.
Maybe to found everything on faith. It is a
Hmm.
solution as simple as it is overlooked.
Future of education in one sentence.
Ha! In one word, homeschooling or Christian schools,
Hmm.
far from the
One,
indoctrination
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
the power.
One book every parent should read.
Bah, the gospel. I'm serious.
One
I'm
message.
serious. I'm not joking.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
it's the most important book for a family.
Mhm. One message every young person needs to hear.
Being young means having faith in a purpose. Without a
Mhm.
purpose, one is already old. And purpose is the reason why one keeps working, is
Mhm.
the ideal. If one does not have it, they are old, even if they are 18.
Mhm. And talking about purpose, how can somebody find purpose? What would you say?
The purpose of life is Jesus Christ. Only the Christian faith can give the total, complete answer to the meaning of life.
Hmm. Gianfranco, if today a million or a billion people were watching right now and you could leave them with one message about family, responsibility, and the future, what would it be?
I would quote the sentence of a famous English writer, Chesterton. He said that the family is the test of freedom, because the family is the only thing that a free man makes for himself and by himself. So we have the duty to defend this last bastion of freedom for the future of the next generations.
Thank you so much, dear Gianfranco. For everyone who might be interested to read one of your books, where are they available?
Everywhere, on Amazon, in internet, on internet, you can find them.
Which which one of the book would you most recommend?
Oh, maybe the last one, nomophobia, the addiction to the cell phone or to this new technologies. This is really a plague of the 21st century, really.
Dear Gianfranco, I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for your boldness. Thank you for your faith. And yeah, thank you for joining us today in this live stream.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Sorry?
And no, I just say thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And strong societies are built through strong relationships, strong communities, and strong families. So let's claim back the responsibility and change what we really can change and what we have in our hands. Gianfranco, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And for all the listeners, tune in and see you next Tuesday, 7